The Secrets of Movies and TV Shows is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give.
You're listening to The Secrets of Movies and TV Shows. Hi, I'm Lindsay Sand, and you're listening to The Secrets of the Lego Movie 2, the second part, where we discuss the hidden layers and meanings of the recently released Lego franchise film, written by Phil Lord and Chris Miller and directed by Mike Mitchell. Joining me today are Caroline Knight. Caroline, how are you?
Very well, thanks. How are you?
I'm going well. And Jared Trapnell, how are you going?
Hi there. Good to be here. Great.
So before we actually begin, let's explain why you, our listeners, are not hearing the accents that you're regularly used to hearing. We're actually the team that brings you the Australian-themed podcast called The Catholics of Oz, which is also on the StarQuest Production Network. But today we've been given the keys to this show, and we're going to provide an Australian perspective on the Lego Movie 2, the second part. So before we do that, don't forget to subscribe to The Secrets of Movies and TV Shows on your favorite podcast player on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, and others. And also share this podcast on Facebook and Twitter. You can find more details about those at sqpn.com. So team, let's pick up where this film begins. It happens straight after the events of the first Lego movie with the Duplo blocks arriving in Bloxburg. So Caroline, I think you remember what that line was from the Duplo blocks. What did they say again?
We are from the planet Duplo, and we are here to destroy you. But in kids' voice.
Yeah. And this is an interesting film because not only does it immediately pick up straight after the events of the Lego Movie 1 in the Lego world, that means obviously that in the human world, in the worlds of Bianca and Finn, I think the brother and sister are called, their story also continues as well. And it's interesting for me because there's a new theme. It was the father and son story in the first one, and this one is the brother and sister one. Jared, did you have a think at all about the family dynamic when you were watching the film?
Yeah, so slightly different to the original, where you only sort of find out at the end, I believe, that it's a father-son thing. This one, there's occasional cutaways to either Finn or Bianca, where you can see who's behind, certain stages of the film, whereas who's controlling the progression of the film.
Yeah, and we're going to go full spoilers with this podcast, so I should probably warn you that if you haven't seen the Lego Movie 2 yet and you do really want to see it without spoilers, you might want to hit pause and then come back after you've seen it. So let's get right into those spoilers.
That wasn't a deal breaker, by the way.
Yeah, that wasn't. No, definitely not. No. Let's get into those spoilers straight away because what I find interesting, Caroline, is that Emmett is actually responsible for the creation of Queen... Whatever you want to, what's her name? Queen?
Whatever I want to be.
Yeah, whatever I want to be, yeah, because she can change into whatever shape she wants. And that's with the creation of that love heart. Do you remember that right at the beginning?
Oh, yes. So
yeah, the insane man approaches aliens.
Yeah.
Yes, and hands a love heart over. And the Duplo create little monsters, promptly snap up the heart, and the little Lego creatures run away going, ah! And then if you notice, the Duplo creatures, they more. So what do they want more of? The love, hey.
Yeah, yes. And see, you don't think about that at first, do you? You think, oh, they want more Lego bricks. They want to destroy more of the city. Yeah. And so what happens is, first, the Lego blocks get into this 5-year battle with the Duplo blocks. They're trying to... Yeah, because of this big misunderstanding that's going on between the two of them. And then before we get to what happens after 5 years, I love this part. They send the Justice League to go and save them. So Jared, what do you remember about the Justice League scene?
Is that the bit where they all step into the... I can't remember what the name of the ship is.
Their little spaceship, whatever it is.
Yeah, they named it, but I can't remember the name of it. All of the current Justice League, except for Batman. So Superman, is it Green Lantern? I think was in there.
Yes.
Wonder Woman and
I love
new Aquaman.
Oh yes, that's true.
Yes.
Because
and did you pick up?
Yeah, because you saw old Aquaman, I think, got left behind in that Batcave, and new Aquaman is a pretty good rendition of Jason Momoa in the Aquaman film, which we only just came out earlier in the year. So obviously a bit of time's changed since then. I believe in the first Lego movie, Aquaman was this blonde, nondescript character, and now he's ripped and hairy and all the rest of it.
Yeah, and what I love, because I was checking this out before, it was actually voiced by Jason Momoa as well, who was Aquaman in the Aquaman film. So they're riffing off the current Justice League.
Well, there's quite a few, and we'll probably get to that later on. Quite a few, cameos and people jumping in that are with just a couple of one-liners here and there that are actually, you consider them A-list actors. Now, from what I understand, because Disney owns things like Marvel, Star Wars, and a few others, you weren't seeing much of that sort of stuff in there. You notice that there's no Death Star this time around.
Yes.
And Marvel's not returning the calls. You might remember that line.
They're not calling, that's right.
Yes.
But the DC universe, I think Harry Potter as well, and a couple of other ones they've got a lot more access to.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, correct. And I love how when the Justice League assembles can I say assembles? But when they decide to leave to fight the Duplo blocks, that Green Lantern comes at the end and says, "Wait, what about me?" Just going on that joke about the rejection of Green Lantern.
Yes, and says, "I'm a lantern, can't you see me?" or something.
Yeah.
I'm a lantern. How could you
Yeah, that's it.
How could you see? Yeah.
I love how they say, "Oh, Batman's off somewhere fighting a site." I forgot exactly the line.
Doing his own thing.
That's it.
Yeah, it's got like a standalone project or something.
Yeah, that's it.
Great.
Yeah, that's something like that. Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, and we know that there's a Batman film being written, but it's been in a kind of limbo because it keeps on. There's all this debate about whether it will happen, whether it won't happen, whether actors will come in or not. So I love all the pop culture references that they've got going on there. The movie loves to laugh at other movies and laugh at itself. I think that's one of the great things about it. So the Justice League go off to fight the Duplo blocks, and we never hear from them again. And it's 5 years, and the war continues. And what we see is that it doesn't go very well for Bricksburg. And what we have is this 5 years later, and this post-apocalyptic Mad Max kind of setting now, where it's become. Is it Brickpocalypse? Is that what they call their new city?
I think it was Apocalypseburg.
Yeah, something.
Oh, yeah, that's right, Apocalypseburg.
Yes.
That's right, yeah. And what we see is all the nice characters have become gruff and they're brooding. And, Wildstyle has, these voiceovers where she's constantly brooding about how dark it is.
My favorite is the crazy cat lady with the...
Yes!
She's all of a sudden really angry, and all the cats are angry, and their names
and they got ferocious names,
like tough names.
Yeah,
they were so
got
funny.
a tail that's shaped like a mace.
And I love how all the
that made me laugh.
all these characters are getting tattoos and getting ink done, and they're all becoming gruff now.
Yeah.
So really riffing off that Mad Max kind of thing.
And there was the surfer dude who was like really happy in the first Lego film, and then like he's really mad and angry in this one.
Yeah, I forgot what he was before, but I think he became Chainsaw Guy or something.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, it was Chainsaw Guy. Yes,
completely flipped.
And this sets up one of the themes, and that is about the kind of heroing up or becoming tough to deal with tough situations. Because by contrast, Emmett doesn't change at all. In fact, he builds a house far away from Apocalypseburg, and the house represents his dream. Now it has I think it was a triple-decker couch instead of a double-decker couch. By the way, I reckon that's awesome. Yeah. I still want one of those couches. And it represents his idealistic dream. It's a place for him and Wildstyle / Lucy to settle down and be happy Lego people there together. And she's just not buying it, is she, Caroline?
No, and she kind of wishes that Emmett would like toughen up as well, and kind of tells him, there was that great scene where she was brooding, having a good brooding session, brooding, and then Emmett comes up and he's all happy, brings her a coffee and everything, and she gets the coffee and drinks and starts brooding over the coffee, and then she tries to teach him how to brood. And he can't do it until he tells her about a dream that he had, and it was kind of one of these predicting a dream that would predict the future, and that's when he got into a real brood. And throughout the movie, you see Lucy trying to encourage him to like grow up and, be more serious and stop being so happy all the time.
Yeah, so it's the dream is of the mama apocalypse, as I remember.
Marmageddon or
Yeah, a
Marmageddon.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm getting my terms mixed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Marmageddon. But the whole idea is that the mother of the two children out in the real world has threatened to make them put all their Lego into storage if they
Into
don't
storage,
start playing nice with each other. Yeah, that's right. I love the way they have these words. You've got the was it the sister system,
Yes.
which is basically the sister's bedroom. What was the
dryer.
stairway? Yeah, under the dryer. Yeah, these are the stair gates, which goes to the other part of the house upstairs. Yeah. It's really creative how they have the real world influencing the Lego world. So, Jared, everything changes with the arrival of Sweet Mayhem. So, what does Sweet Mayhem want from these Lego characters?
Right. So basically, it picks up just after the coffee and brooding session in that Wildstyle notices something new in the sky. Emmett thinks it's a shooting star, and it turns out to be the ship of, what was her name? Sweet Mayhem.
Sweet Mayhem.
Who ends up catching them just near the destroyed Bricksburg sign, and he's dancing to the beat that the ship's pumping out. And then you got a chase scene where Emmett, Lucy, and I've forgotten the cat's name, Unikitty, who becomes Ultra Caddy.
That was my favourite part, I think, when she changes into Angry Kitty. Reminds me of my cat.
into
that's
Angry
why.
Kitty.
Yeah, into Humongous. And then there's a chase scene where they're being shot at with hearts and stars that have childish voices saying, "Hi,
I love you."
and then explode.
I love you. Yes.
And so the chase eventually leads to, I think it's Batman's desert cave, and all the citizens of Apocalypseburg are all inside. The gates close, and one of the stars gets trapped in the door. And,
the pain.
But everyone's inside. Oh, the pain! Everything's getting cold. And
it's getting
falls
dark.
for it.
Yes.
Emmett falls for it, opens the gate so the star can get out, and he's like, "Oh, that's all right, nothing got in." And then Sweet Mayhem standing there, something got in.
Yes.
There she is right there, just out of nowhere.
And once she's in there, facing off against the citizens of Apocalypseburg, she basically, I think, does she demand the leader
Yes.
to come with her.
And none of them could decide who the leader was.
Yeah, and this is part of that theme now of heroing up. Because who is the leader? Is it Batman, the dark, brooding, brave one? Is it the pirate who says he's done this and that? They're actually looking at all the qualities and what they've done and what makes them a leader. And Emmett, they kind of just brush aside. No, he's not a leader. He was the special, but that's all he is. He's done what the special does, but he's just plain old Emmett. Who orders coffee with extra cream and 23 sugars and all this kind of stuff. So. They get called, they want to take the leader, or Sweet Mayhem wants to take the leader for them to go to a wedding. And it's a wedding to Queen whatever Nababi. I'm going to struggle with that. Whatever
Wanabi.
Whatever Wanabi. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I can't say it. And so after a bit of a fight scene, like you were saying, she captures these leaders by covering them in cutesy stickers. Did you notice that, by the way?
Yes, they were good.
Yeah, and then onto the ship, and then takes them away. So Emmett he has this rousing speech to inspire everyone to follow, to rescue everyone, and he walks out the gate saying, "Who's with me?" And the gate closes, and then that's it. He's trapped outside. Yeah. So before we talk about Emmett's journey, let's talk about where these heroes are taken to. So the heroes are taken to meet Queen whatever wannabe. Oh my gosh, this is so bad. And she basically explains that they're there for a wedding. Now, how does the wedding to Batman come about, Jerry? I kind of forgot about how that happens.
Now, I think she's basically, Queen whatever Wanabi is basically looks like she's trying to coerce them to go with her. So they all, mainly Wildstyle, Lucy, is trying to put up a resistance. And first of all, I think the Queen goes for Benny, the spaceman, and says, "Do you want? I'll give you a planet which is full of space stuff and
Spaceships,
and then
yeah.
all of a sudden he's checked out. She's okay. Then Metalbeard was next. I'm not buying it, and she promises him a planet full of ship, and the inhabitants will be his crew when he's sold. And then the Unikitty, she says, "How much glitter can you imagine?" She says, "Lots," and she says, "Times it by infinity," or something like that.
Yeah.
And that was that. And then Batman was like, "Well, what about me?" And the Queen sort of, there's a bit of back and forth where she says, "Well, you kind of got everything. What can I give you?" And she says, "How about I give you half of everything?" Foreshadowing without saying so that, what's half of everything in this culture is marriage. But that's not how she phrases it. She just says half of everything. He's like, and then there's only Wildstar left. But that's how it sort of comes about.
Yeah. Now, I like in this scene how she's trying to convince them she's not evil. But later on, Wildstar comments later towards the end of the movie how terrible their messaging and their communication skills are, because she pulls out these signs like, I am not evil. I am not this. All these words that are evil, just with that's right. Yeah, with
unnasty.
Yeah, where she's written on all those signs. So you got signs like nasty and whatever else, and she's handwritten on there as if to try and be convincing, and it's not.
Yeah, so that's part of a musical number, which I think it also one of the lines in there, I believe, is something like, if you don't go along with us, then we totally won't imprison your family.
Yes, and it's funny because they actually mean they won't imprison your family, but the way you look at it, it comes across the opposite, doesn't it? So, all right, so we've got that going on then, and it leads to a discussion of the brainwashing, which we'll get to later. But let's go back to Emmett. So Emmett, of course, is dedicated to Wildstar. There's no way he's going to let this finish, so he goes to his house and he converts his house to a spaceship, and he flies out into space to the stair gate in order to go and rescue Wildstar. So let's get to what's revealed at the end of the film at this point. So he's going to get crushed by a giant asteroid on his way through the stair gate, and he gets rescued by Rex. Okay, and let's do a radical Emmett extreme. But let's talk about who Rex is. Let's spoil that now. Rex is actually future Emmett. And I love how he says, "But I'm not going to give you the backstory," and then he goes until tells the whole backstory.
Yes.
But Jared, tell us who this future Emmett is and how he ended up being where he is.
All right, so he's the super cool Rex Dangervest, which is also voiced by Chris Pratt and seems to be pretty much based on Chris Pratt's other movie roles. So he says that he's, what does he call himself? A galaxy defending, Guardians of the Galaxy, archaeologist,
yes.
Cowboy and raptor trainer, and a few other things. So raptor trainer was from his role in Jurassic World.
Love it. Yes.
I'm not sure about the cowboy one, but the archaeologist is thoughts that he might do, young Indiana Jones.
Yes.
And there were a couple of other, lines that he had. I think furniture making, chiseled features hidden under baby fat, which I had to look that one up. He apparently was in something, Parks and Recreation, I think.
Yes, that's Parks and Recreation. Absolutely, that's a reference to that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Carried a lot of baby fat there, and then obviously chiseled up for the. I'm pretty sure it was the first Guardians movie.
Guardians,
probably.
And so Rex is basically, is a parody of all of Chris Pratt's other movies. What was the question again?
Oh, just basically
describing all the, how it comes about.
But how did he end up being future Emmett and meeting Emmett there?
Right, so that
in the asteroid field.
Mostly gets told in the later parts of the story, but essentially he's, being part of the future. Was Emmett turned into he finally did grow up and go bad, essentially, with how it would have turned out. He would have crashed into that asteroid and basically been lost for a number of years until he managed to get himself out. He was in solitary for a while.
Now remember, he was lost under the dryer system, which is basically the Lego toy ended up under the dryer and no one to play with him for a long period of time. It might have even been years from looks at it, because he watches the events of the entire the entire Lego movie.
Yeah, it looked like.
Yeah, well,
But he sees everything anyway.
yeah, because what would have happened is if he didn't destroy the asteroid, then Emmett would have crashed into it and ended up under the dry and have been lost. So that's what he's come back for.
Yep.
And so him having lived that part, stayed under the dry that long, turned, into what he was, and basically tried to figure out how he could fix it, and figured out that he'd grab a whole bunch of time travel machines, which he just went through them too
Various
quickly for me to
bits
get
of
them.
different ones.
Oh no, let me list
I'll
this because this
pass
is
that one
great.
over to you.
We need to.
So you've got firstly he grabs parts. He grabs parts from the DeLorean. Then he gets parts from Bill and Ted's time machine,
Yes.
which is a telephone box. Then he gets parts from the TARDIS. And then he gets parts from a hot tub, which is a reference to Hot Tub Time Machine, which I haven't seen, but I got the reference. So it was hilarious that they put all of those together. And then he uses those to build a time machine to travel back into the past.
And he did get something from Skynet too.
Yeah, sorry. However that works. There was a comment, I think.
Yeah, and so use
Yes.
that to build a time machine, go back into the past, pick up some Raptors, which is where you got the Raptor trainer line, and then go to however many years back to the present where we're seeing it, and rescuing the only person he really wants to rescue, which is himself.
Yes. And did you see how he enticed the Raptors to get onto his ship?
Oh, yeah, it was
They
a
were like a
tennis
tennis
ball.
ball.
Tennis
I
ball.
love
And apparently
tennis
they love
balls.
tennis. They're all like, tennis, yeah. The Raptors are actually quite funny in this
Yes,
film.
they are.
There's a part on the ship where the Raptors have different dialogue, and one of them saying, "Hey, have you got the Wi-Fi working?" And one said, "Why don't you ask Sharon?" There's all this just random
I hate
stuff.
Mondays.
Password, yeah.
Yeah.
Sharon hates Mondays.
Yeah, yeah. There's some great stuff there. All right, so this is Rex's backstory. Now, the interesting thing with the theme of Rex, obviously, is that Rex represents the Emmett that Lucy wants him to be. And then we find out that she's actually kind of not happy with this Emmett because he's this bitter, brooding version of Emmett who is not as cracked up as she thought it would be. And it teaches her to appreciate the Emmett that she has. Caroline, what do you reckon? Think about that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that was a strong point in the film. So the whole time during the film, she's trying to, like mentioned before, trying to, get him to grow up and, brood more and be like everybody else. But, he was always happy and everything else. And I mean, it looks like towards the end of the film, is a bit more spoiler, but they want to create a happy society, where everybody plays together and everybody's happy. And but he is encouraged by Rex to kind of go ahead and destroy that. He's talked into it, and by the end of it, then Lucy realizes, oh, it's really not what I want. Sorry, this is my Siri. I said Lucy and my phone thought I said Siri. So it leads him to a path where, it changes him completely. And she realizes, no, that's not the kind of Emmett I want. I want the nice, plain Emmett that I knew before. Yeah, and
the difference is Emmett the Master Builder or Emmett the Master Breaker,
That's
which
it,
is
yes.
what he with the punch he teaches him to do, which breaks everything. And I guess what's interesting, maybe I'm reading too much into this, but you've got the Master Breaker who learns to be tough by breaking things, by living off that bitterness that he has, but the Master Builder is one who builds things out of love, out of need. And so you've got those two Emmets very, very clearly contrasted there. So let's go on and let's talk about, and this is the part that maybe some of our listeners, if you've watched the movie, a certain song is going to start playing in your head for the next 10 hours. But they're going back to the Sistar system. And before the wedding happens, there's this preparation. So they need to get them ready. And it says something to get changed. So it's a play on words because get changed, we think to change clothes, but the characters think get changed means to be brainwashed. And so what happens is, like we talked about, they're offered all these different things. And then in the process of getting changed, they're listening to this song, And what was the song? This song's gonna get stuck in your head. And it goes
inside your head.
Yeah, and it basically just repeats the line, this song's going to get stuck inside you, or this song's going to get stuck inside you.
Trying really hard not to sing it right now.
Yeah, it's playing in my head right now. But it's obviously linking back to the first movie with the Everything is Awesome. So this is kind of like the next version. Although Everything is Awesome does, it does make its way into the film here and there, and it gets changed at the end. But it's interesting how it seems like it's torture, that this song's going to get stuck in your head. It is for us as viewers, but
speak for yourself.
It's actually but it's actually a song about love, and a happy song, because what we find out is that the wedding is to unify the Lego brick people and the Duplo brick people, so to bring them all together. But it doesn't seem that way, like I said, because the Queen's messaging seems quite poor.
I was just going to add in too that, there's a bit more backstory there too with the joining of the Lego and the Duplo. It's like the sister, the girl in the movie, she really wants her brother to play with her, and join their toys together, and he's kind of not really into it. And so this is kind of her way of trying to unite them together, I think there was a bit of the backstory where he gave her the Duplo heart, so like Emmett giving the Duplo heart to her Duplo, and she's remembering that, and so she thinks, okay, so we can play together, so why can't we keep playing together? But they end up just fighting, and I'll let you continue.
That's right, and the punch that we talked about before that Emmett learns is the punch that the brother does to destroy the Sistar system that his sister had created in her room. Yeah, because they can't get along well. So, all right. So, Jared, you obviously went and watched this film with your kids. How did you go with the song? Did it get stuck in your head? Did your kids keep singing it after the movie was over?
Well, you should know the answer yourself, because when we were doing prep for this episode, you had Caitlin and James singing it into the microphone as sound test. So
yeah,
we had a lot of fun.
Quite a few of them. I think they know the words pretty well.
Yes, they definitely do.
Yeah,
and knowing the lyrics of the words, it's basically a challenge almost, isn't it? Yeah, you sit there thinking, no, it's not.
It's
I just give in.
It's playing in my head right now.
Yeah. In fact, Frankie, when he came out of the film, is like, it's getting stuck in my head. Oh, no, it's stuck in my head. And so I was just playing with him and singing it. We were walking through the shopping centre afterwards after the cinema. I says, come on, this song's going to get stuck. Sorry, I don't mean to sing. And I don't want to get caught out singing because it's going to happen. But yeah, so I thought, I'm not going to get annoyed with this. I'm going to have fun. I got brainwashed and I'm enjoying it. And I've actually been playing it on my phone with my kids, trying to get them, come on, let's sing. So yeah, I've been having fun with that song. So I've been that embarrassing mum, doing the role well.
That's all right. It's a catchy beat, so don't worry. You'll definitely be ashamed of. Yeah.
I'm not ashamed.
So Lucy is being tortured by this song. She's got headphones on. She thinks it's brainwashing, so she breaks out and she escapes. And I love the scene where she's crawling through the vents and she passes Bruce Willis as John McClane in the Die Hard films. And he says something along the lines of, I don't always crawl around through vents, something along those lines.
Funny.
Yeah. And actually, again, voiced by Bruce Willis, so another star cameo there. But basically, let's jump ahead a little bit. So what it leads to is that she escapes and she hides underneath one of the little spaceships that's taking all of her friends back to where the wedding's going to happen, to that giant stadium with the giant cake. And she notices Emmett and Rex, because Emmett and Rex have come to rescue everyone. And she notices that Emmett and Rex have made it there, and they're in this. That after a little bit of an adventure, they end up in this cart that's full of Lego bricks that's being transported to the same place. So she sort of jumps down to them in this kind of action setting kind of thing, and they come up with a plan, and the plan is basically to shut down the shields of this place, and for Emmett to smash the building. What was Rex's role again? What was he going to do?
I can't remember. I'm pretty sure Lucy's job was to turn the music off
That's what it was. Sorry, yeah.
I can't remember what Rex's was. He might have just been the getaway driver, or at least for part of it. Yeah.
They all arrive. They start carrying out their plan. I love that. That's Rex, as they're sneaking in, has a was it CPD, convenient plot device?
Oh yes, that's right.
to find their way in. Yeah, there's all these little nods to to the audience that like, yeah, we're just going to do this so we can keep the story going. So it's really good they do that. And they so Lucy runs into the other heroes and they convince her that actually this is a good thing that's happening. The wedding between Batman and Queen Wanabe, I actually said that correctly, is a good thing. Batman's in love with her, even though he's a brooding character. And so she's convinced. And so
it's actually mayhem. That was actually Sweet Mayhem. So they get into martial combat.
Correct.
When Lucy goes to switch the phone or basically goes to turn the music off, and Sweet Mayhem and Lucy get into martial combat, end up in a fight, and in the midst of it, near the end, Sweet Mayhem falls into a hole and is about to fall. Her helmet comes off, and instead of being, a alien space invader, she suddenly, it just looks like a young girl, and basically looks like one of the Lego's Friends series sort of character. And then all the bravado's gone, all the angry, harsh voice is gone, and she's begs to be rescued. Which Lucy, even though she chides Emmett for being a sook and all the rest of it, and prides herself on being rough and tough, she still finds it in herself to, even though it's her enemy, to stop her from falling. As they then get up, Sweet Mayhem finally, and this is where you come back to poor explanation. She says that it's what they're actually doing. She said that she tried to impress Lucy by being rough and tough, but and when she came and invaded their space earlier in the movie, obviously that was lost in translation because it looked more like an invasion. And then she says, Queen whatever or Wanabe, she even sang you a song about how she wasn't evil. Didn't you guys get the message?
Yes, that's
and
great.
Then the line comes out, "You're really bad at communicating."
And then they run out to the arena where everything's coming together for Batman and the Queen. And that's where Rex and Emmett meet up with them again, and where Rex has stubble dots on his face.
And we need to mention one character in this film which made me laugh. It's really childish, but it's a kid's film, so it makes sense. The banana who keeps slipping on his own peel.
The banana.
And
yes.
He's got this special moment in the wedding where he has to carry the rings and he keeps slipping. He's like, no, this was my one moment. No.
Yes.
Slipping down
I love the banana.
The cake falls into the chocolate fountain, gets up, and just no. And he's so upset that he couldn't carry it off because he's slipping over his own peel. Anyways.
That's fantastic. Yeah, look, every adult loves a banana slipping on its own peel kind of gag. That was just there for us, not for the kids.
That was so funny.
And also I think it was in the fight scene with Lucy and Sweet Mayhem, if I remember right, where one of the stars spins and it gets really sick, and then it throws up all this glitter.
Rainbow glitter.
I'm getting dizzy. What? Yeah.
So hilarious.
And yeah, so that got me as well.
Yeah.
All right, so where are we up to in the film? So all right, so we have this. We have Emmett now. He's not convinced when Lucy tries to convince him that the Duplo blocks are good. He's convinced actually by Rex that she's been brainwashed, and so he doesn't believe her. So he makes his way to the top of the stadium, and he does the punch, and he breaks everything. And then we have the beginning of the was it Marmageddon? Hang on, Marmageddon.
Armageddon. Yeah. So Armageddon, but with an extra Ma in there.
Yeah, a Marmageddon. Yeah. So Jared, what actually is a Marmageddon in the real world?
So a Marmageddon is last chance of the last chance of the last chance of however many times Mama said, you two keep fighting and I'm going to put your stuff into storage. And it finally happened. So I believe we cut back to the real world where I think is it Finn, the son, goes and busts it up, and that's represented by the fist of Emmett, And so once it all falls apart, then yes, the mum comes in and says, you've had chance after chance. I'm putting all your stuff in storage because you can't get along.
Yeah, it's actually kind of heartbreaking, or when the sister says to the brother something along like, I just wanted to play with you. Or do you remember that scene, guys?
Yeah, that she just wanted to be with you or something.
Yes,
I can't remember the exact words,
right,
but
yeah. So it actually pulled at the heartstrings. I wasn't expecting that, but I thought that was really well done. I'll say more about the outside world later because we need to get through a bit more film first. So we end up now. You're gonna have to help me with this. Basically the Amama. Oh gosh, here we go.
Amamageddon.
Yeah, Amamageddon. I was going to say Amamapocalypse. The words in this film just get me. But so basically the kids are in separate rooms. So Finn is in the basement putting all of the bricks into storage or storage, and Bianca is in her room doing the same with hers. And from the characters' points of view, they're being sucked into some kind of doorway or something. And then the box is closed and they're all in the dark. But Emmett ends up in the under dryer system. I forgot how he ends up there, but he ends up under the dryer. And so now he's the same experience as Rex, but for different reasons.
Oh yeah, doesn't Rex shoot him out of his ship and he flings out? Yes, that's it.
With elastic, yeah, that's right, with the slingshot, yes. Correct. Yeah, so he ends up there, and because Rex is unhappy that Emmett hasn't become bitter and like he has. And he goes, you need a bit more experience or a bit more time. So he flicks him under there. And so Emmett now, this is the part where he could become bitter or he could be able to get up and walk for a different reason. And he's actually able to get up and walk because of the characters that he cares about, because of Lucy. Is that about right, Jared?
Yeah, I think you're hit that on fine.
Yep. And in the meantime, Lucy, all the other characters in the box that Lucy's in Bianca's room, they've given up. And so they sing this version of Everything is Awesome where the lyrics are things like, not awesome, everything's depressing, and all this kind of stuff. But then Wildstyle / Lucy kind of brings it around because she sings Everything's Not Awesome until we start doing this and we start doing that. And she kind of brings the mood back up, which gives the Lego characters their strength back to get back into restoring themselves and having hope and whatever. But let's skip ahead to the under the dryer system again. So Emmett is kind of getting the strength to move because of love and dedication instead of because of bitterness. It's the same. It gives more strength than the bitterness does. And I love how he and Rex start fighting. Did you remember when they start crashing into each other?
Funny. It's like they just splat into each other, like two little figures just hitting into each other. Quite funny.
So madness ensues and fight scenes happen. Lucy eventually turns up under the dryer and rescues Emmett. And they throw one of those love hearts that explodes, which stops Rex. But I love the pull away, how it moves away from the dryer. So instead of this massive explosion that we're used to, there's just like this little boom.
Yeah.
There's just this nothing.
Pink flash.
Yeah. So Jared, did you pick up the reference to Back to the Future as he starts disappearing?
Yeah. You go, Caroline.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, because the past was being rewritten because Emmett didn't end up going bad again. He ended up going back to being good. The Emmett of the future, the bitter Emmett, was being Back to the Futured, which meant a reference to Back to the Future when the photographs were being erased because the history or the future was being rewritten. And so he starts slowly fading, one leg becomes transparent, and then the next until he disappears. And then you're left with Lucy and Emmett, as they are standing there.
Yeah. So that kind of finishes off Rex as he's gone there. And so basically the film kind of finishes off. It ties all these things up with Batman and whatever Wanabe getting married happily, which is Batman is kind of funny as this soppy kind of lovey-dovey kind of character. The mother is impressed because Bianca and Finn are getting along, because this whole story is really just Bianca and Finn's relationship. So Mama apocalypse
Armageddon.
is avoided. And the Lego universe is basically kind of restored again. So we have this mixing now of Apocalypseburg and the Sistar system, and we have the peaceful Cispocalypstar.
Yes.
I can't believe I say that.
I'll
Which
take
is
your word on
the
that
new
one. I
world.
can't remember that one.
Yeah, that's kind of the
Cispocalypseburg or
the
something.
world that.
Of everything, you remembered that one. The
Yeah, I don't
hardest
know how I
one, yeah.
remember that. Yeah. But it's basically the everything together now, and I love the very ending. So we have Emmett and Lucy with the dream house. So it was Lucy that builds the dream house that Emmett had built in the first part of the film that got destroyed, because she realizes that Emmett is good just the way that he is, not this Emmett that she wishes that he was instead. And so they end up at the house. And he finds this CD.
Oh, yeah.
She gives it to him. It's
Yeah,
an
she
original
does, yeah.
original copy of it.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, why
And
would
so
she
the
have
original
that?
copy, it's the release of the single of Everything is Awesome. And there, as part of the band at the front, is the lead singer, and it's Lucy.
And it's the band's called,
Wildstar.
was it the Unnamed Band? Something like that, or Unknown Band?
Popular
Something.
band.
Oh, yeah.
Popular band, was
Something
it?
like that.
Or is that someone else?
Yeah.
Anyway.
And then the film ends with Emmett's mind blowing as he just goes, whoa. So that's the film. I just wanted to talk very quickly, guys, about some of the themes. So first of all, the one I thought of was hope being just as powerful as fear, if not more powerful. So do either of you guys have an observation about that?
Well, I have a slightly different take on it if you want.
Sure.
Like a sort of a little personal reflection, actually. You know, Lindsay, it reminded me a lot of you and me growing up together.
You're not going to go there, are you?
I'm going there. But, you know, we're only 3 years apart. Okay. So we used to play together, like you'd have your toys and I'd have my toys. And like, I remember when we didn't have Lego like ourselves at that age, but we used to like mix our toys and like we'd do this whole procession of cars from the bedroom down to the lounge room. I'd put my Barbie in one of the cars, there'd be He-Man in one of the cars and all that. And I'd want to incorporate my toys more with yours. And you were like, yeah, that's girl stuff. Like you really didn't want a bar of it. But like, anyway, it just reminds me of like when we used to play together, we used to fight, but we used to like always end up still playing together. We were like pretty good mates, you know, growing up, and we're still pretty close. So, yeah, for me, that little reflection was really like shining through the whole way I was watching that. So, yeah, I had nice little memories from that. So, yeah, so I really enjoyed that part of it, and it just made me happy that you and I are, okay, I'm going to get soppy here, but you and I like close as siblings, like, and, you know, and they ended up close as siblings at the end of the story as well. So,
but that's the brilliance of the film, is that it does kind of pick those out. See, I remember like the first film and thinking, wow, this is brilliant in the first Lego movie. Look at these links to themes like 1984 and Control, you know, where people make you think you're happy, but you're actually not. It's manufactured happiness. And here you've got this one about family and relationships. And I reckon they nail these siblings really well.
Yeah.
They get it. They get the relationship between siblings.
100%.
And the way it's done as a kind of a meta narrative, you know, where the siblings relationship is just told through Lego, is absolutely brilliant. I was more surprised by this film than I thought I would be. Jared, does this get sibling relationships right? Can you relate to this at all?
Yeah, because I've got a daughter who likes playing with Lego, and the son is not allowed near. Mainly because he's pretty clumsy and a bit spontaneous, and we've had Lego pieces exploding because he's thrown a ball at something else and completely misjudged, and it's gone right into the Lego building.
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm.
Which
Can you imagine what those poor Lego characters were thinking when that happens? Ball
Everything's not
apocalypse.
awesome.
Yeah, James Apocalypse.
What I found funny, and I don't know if I haven't seen anyone touch on it, is that obviously when they all get kidnapped and then they get their makeovers and whatever it was called, and listening to the music, that everyone's convinced it's brainwashing, but in actual fact, it's going back to a time where Emmett was that carefree, and yet he doesn't recognize that it's a carefree point. He recognizes it as brainwashing, even in Lucy, when he sees that Lucy's got her hair, fun like that, as opposed to being the brooding character. He can't recognize that the change is not because of brainwashing, but because they actually found something to be happy and enjoyable and enjoy.
Yes, that's a good one. I've got one more observation. I'll let you guys react to this one. So here's my really deep English teacher look at this. So like I said, the second movie is a continuation of the first one straight away. They're just connected together like two puzzle pieces. In the first one, the father misunderstands the son for a lot of the film, and he's kind of mean to the son in the sense that he doesn't want his son playing with his Lego in the basement, just like the son is kind of mean to his sister. So the father kind of teaches the son how to love, how to be nice by accepting him and letting him play with the Lego. The brother then goes through the same process like his father did, of misunderstanding his sister, but then learning to love her and be nice to her. So instead of saying, okay, you can play with this now, his moment in the second film is when he gives her that Lego brick heart. So there's a lot of this. There's a complete story of family relationships in the first Lego and the second Lego movie as well. So I just thought I'd throw that little bit of exploration there. Jared, do you have any final notes about the film before we finish up?
Yeah, so sort of alluded to it earlier. So there's quite a few, superstar cameo sort of things. So he did Bruce Willis, did Jason Momoa as Aquaman. The rest of the Justice League, Channing, I don't know how you say his name, Channing Tatum,
yes.
and Jonah Hill from 21 Jump Street.
Yes.
Living there. And Kobe Smulders, whose name wasn't familiar to me, but she's actually Maria Hill, the S.H.I.E.L.D. agent.
Oh, okay, yes.
Plays Wonder Woman.
There you go. All right.
The ice cream cone. So one of the, the guy who stops the Queen and Batman sort of doing their love bickering. Richard Ayoade from the IT Crowd.
Oh, yes. I thought I recognized the voice. Yeah.
Ah.
So I didn't get that until after.
And I like the mother character. I've seen her in many small comedy shows.
She was in Bridesmaids.
Yeah. And
which is where I've seen her watching it with Priscilla.
Yeah. No, she's done heaps of stuff. Sure. She's really funny. Yeah. Even in The Good Place, she played a character like the judge. I
think she did. You're right. Yes, she was in The Good Place. Yes, that's right. Of course, she was the judge. Yes.
Yeah, she's fantastic. I'm a big fan.
Who likes tacos or something, if I remember right. There was something.
Oh, yeah, there was something.
Yeah.
Go on, Jerry.
Go on.
No, you go. Sorry.
Okay. Some from Scooby-Doo. We saw, I think, Velma or Thelma.
Yes. Yep.
Yes.
With the glasses. I think she had a line. Harley Quinn saying that Emmett's rescue would be a suicide mission.
Yes.
I like that one.
Yeah, good move. Yeah, reference to Suicide Squad there. Yes.
And finally, in the fight for the Lego friends to get under the dryer, Rex commands his dinosaurs to attack them. I don't know, and I haven't been able to find anything. I've looked hard for this one. I haven't found out for sure, but I don't know if they're Rex wings.
Yes, that was the that's what the
I thought he called them that.
Spaceships, yeah, his little fighter ships that come out of the big ship. They're called Rex wings. Yeah.
So Star Wars did get into it after all.
I'm assuming a Star Wars, a very indirect Star Wars reference.
Oh, how can you not think of X-wings? Rex wings exactly in X-wings.
Yes,
even though they were the bad guys by then.
Yeah. Can I do another bit of trivia? So Will Ferrell doesn't make an on-screen appearance, but he did record his voice for the film. So there's a part where the mother says, she calls out to him and says, what do you think? And he goes, "Kids, do whatever your mum says." So very useless. Yeah.
And where are my pants?
But I love at the very end. That's it. Yeah, that line where he goes, "Honey, where are my pants?" Which goes back to the first film. Yeah, straight to which is a great line from the first film. That was like the main sitcom that everyone used to like watching or something. Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah,
I use it with my kids. Or they use it with me. "Mum, where are my pants?" Yeah, they think it's hilarious.
Caroline, are there any other things about the film that you wanted to mention?
Well, yes, I have to say I am now more sensitive to the needs of my children's Legos, especially the little Lego men, the ones that are missing their hair, the ones that are missing their legs, the ones that are missing their torsos.
Just call the ones that are missing their hair Bruce.
They're all Bruce. That's true. That's a very good idea. But my boys have quite a bit of Lego, and we recently started sorting them out, and we've got this little drawer of miscellaneous bits, and and I've just opened it.
Is that
it's all
storage
heads
by
and,
any chance?
pardon?
Storage, is it?
Oh yes, well it is a form of the storage, yes, but it's where we access the Legos. They're not put away for good, so it's okay. It's still a happy place.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now I'm worried that I've got some little Lego men brooding under the couch. I'm going to have to go and lift the couch and just check that no one's getting too broody and angry under there, so we could keep a happy Legoland in my lounge room.
Yeah. All right. So let's wrap it up there. Actually, I have one more question for both of you. So I was reading before that the film had a budget of $99 million and it grossed over 189 million worldwide, including what I got from me just recently. So are we going to see Lego Movie 3?
Is there going to be a Lego Movie 3? I'd be interested. The first Lego movie, I reckon that really foreshadowed a sequel when that very last line that Will Ferrell says, I'll have to let your sister play too.
Yes.
Whereas this one, the final line just being Lucy as a founding member of the popular band that's saying everything is awesome. While that was a great reveal, doesn't really lend itself to a new series. I do wonder where it would go next. Maybe it would be like Toy Story and the kids get older.
Yeah, maybe.
Because this was 5 years in the future, and obviously the kids had to age 5 years as well. So if they're going to do another one, if they want to keep the same actors, they better get their skates on, or you'll have have Finn, the son, going off to college, not before long, and,
not taking his Lego with him.
Yeah, well,
who knows?
Maybe it'll be a direct to video.
Yeah, true. I enjoyed the Lego Batman film. It would be okay if they did another one of those.
Well, he's got 9 separate standalone films.
Yeah.
Didn't you remember him saying?
So they've got 8 more to do.
Something.
Yeah, there was a Batman Forever reference. I forgot what it was, but it was really funny the way they
Val
included that.
They talked about all of them, and we didn't really go
they did
into it in the
them,
song with between the Queen and Batman when they're at dinner.
Oh yeah,
and I think they referenced every single one of the Batmans. George Clooney.
Yes, they
Christian
did.
Bale. Was in there.
Even,
and
I even loved you as Christian Bale. Yes, yeah, some great lines.
And
all right, so let's wrap it up.
West's tights,
let's wrap it up there. So for our listeners, if you've seen the second Lego movie, so Lego Movie, the second part, we'd love to know what you thought. Did you like it as much as we did? Did you think there were some interesting things about it? Do you think there'll be a third one? And what will the third one be if you think there will be one? So you can leave us feedback at sqpn.com. You can leave us feedback on the SQPN Facebook page for the post for this episode. And we'd love to know what you think. Don't forget to listen to other great SQPN shows, such as The Secrets of... I was going to think of TV movies. Such as The Secrets of... What am I thinking of? Secrets of Technology, Let's Talk, and all the other great shows, Jimmy Akin's Mysterious World. And also, if you'd like to hear more from us, we're at the Catholics of Oz. So if you'd like to find the Catholics of Oz and subscribe, we'd love for you to be to join our community as well. So that's all. Until next time. Jared, thank you very much for joining us today.
Yep, pleasure to have been involved.
And Caroline, thank you as well.
Thank you. It was fun.
And you've been listening to The Secrets of TV and Movies. And don't forget, and remember, this song's going to get stuck inside your head.